Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Inspiring Workplaces Summer Series. It's fantastic to have you joining us from wherever you are in the world. I'm Matthew Manners, CEO and founder of the Inspiring Workplaces Group. Over the last 8 weeks, the team and I have been meeting many of you and your team members at the Inspiring Workplaces Awards celebrations around the world, Sydney, London, and Chicago. I just want to say congratulations to all of our award winners. We have some big news coming on the awards front, so watch this space at the end of the summer. We took a little pause, a little rest to recuperate. We love the first 6 months of the year, and we're recognizing so many amazing people and organizations, but just having a little bit of a R&R to gather our thoughts. But we've got some very exciting stuff coming down in the next couple of months. But for now, let's get back to the present and why we're here, the summer series. Over the next 4 days, we'll be bringing together inspiring thought leaders, practitioners, and experts who are passionate about creating workplaces where people can truly thrive, people first. This series, now in its 6th year, time does fly, is all about giving you fresh perspectives, practical ideas, and plenty of inspiration that you can take straight back into your own organization. Whether you're here for a single session or joining us throughout the week or now watching us on demand 4 or 5 months later, our goal is that you'll leave each conversation with something new to think about, discuss with your team, and put into action. So thank you for spending part of your day with us. We truly appreciate it. We hope you enjoy the sessions, ask questions, and most importantly, leave feeling energized and inspired. So let's get started. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Tracy Brower, Vice President of Workplace Insights at Steelcase, award-winning author, and one of today's leading voices on the future of work. And we're very grateful that a multiple time speaker at some of our events over the past few years. In this session, she'll explore the power of community and why meaningful connection is essential for well-being, fulfillment, and success at work and in life, something we strongly believe in. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Tracy Brower and leading off the summer series in the best way we thought possible. So please welcome her to the session.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thanks, Matt, for having me. Thanks for all you do. You and Inspiring Workplaces are truly inspiring and bring so much insight to all of us. So we so appreciate the community you've built. And thanks to Amy and Marta as well. So really looking forward to it. All right, you all. Well, let's get started. We will have the slides come up here. I think, yes, there we go. Really looking forward to our conversation about connection and community. These are my coordinates. You can find me in lots of different ways, and I will share them at the end as well. All right, why is this such an important conversation? It is absolutely critical to start with some level setting. We are in a VUCA world. We've all heard a world that is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. We have increasing levels of loneliness globally, increasing and record levels of things like depression and anxiety. We are disconnected, and that is causing increases in fear and distrust. People say that their social skills are declining. They feel a little more awkward. It's a little harder to connect with others, even when they are motivated to do it. Work ends up being a really important venue in this situation. It is a center of gravity. It is a place that we can connect. It is a place that we can feel seen. And in work and life, it is absolutely possible to create terrific connections and communities. So I want to share with you, why is that so important, and why are community and connections so fundamental to our well-being and fulfillment, and how do we create those connections more effectively and in very pragmatic terms. I love this. A good life is built with good relationships. So let us discuss that now. I also like to just take a minute. I set this up as kind of a work life and a well-being conversation. Sometimes we think about work and life as separate, and really they're super integrated. A really great life includes work. It includes the opportunity to contribute and to express our talents and capabilities. And a great work life is ours to design, and connection is a critical part of that. But it's really helpful when we don't think about work and life as separate, when we think about creating a great life that includes components of work where we can also be successful. I love this from Groucho Marx. I don't want to belong to any club that will accept me as a member. Good historical humor there, you all. And that leads us to our first point. A really big reason that community and connection is connected to well-being and fulfilling work life is because of identity. And I talk a little bit about this in my book called Critical Connections. Community reminds us of who we are. Community reminds us of what's important to us and how we are needed in our various parts of our communities. When we join an association, it's because we align with the values of that association. When we think about our organization and the core competence that we express there, it's because we value and want to express ourselves in that area. When we have a friend group or activities that we participate in with others, it is because those things are important to us and we see ourselves in others. Here's another thing that's important to identity. Self-awareness is one of the starting points for compassion. When we understand how we are less than perfect, when we also understand our gifts and talents, it helps us to see those in others. It helps us to be compassionate, to be empathetic, and to think, I'm struggling with that and somebody else is too, or I'm celebrating that and somebody else is too. What do you do about this? How do you use identity to build a strong work life? First, know your expectations. What are your expectations of others? And secondly, know what you can give. Know how that back and forth will operate in your relationship. So know what you're expecting of others, know how you're showing up so that you can be both self-aware and empathetic. All right, so that's the first element of community and how we build community with each other. Here's a thought question for you. You can answer in the chat, or if you want to just make this a thought question in your head, if you're listening later or listening without the chat, that's great. Think of a group you're a member of. What do you value about that group? And what does that group reinforce about yourself? Think about any group that you're a member of in work, outside of work, in family, friends, community. What is it that that group reinforces in you? That will tell you a lot about yourself. Our feelings toward others are based less on how we feel about them than on how we feel about ourselves when we're with them, or how we feel about ourselves when we leave them. It's just interesting to reflect on those relationships, and that's what I want to talk about next. Another reason that community is so critical for well-being and a fulfilled work life is because of the support we get. Community helps us to feel embedded and supported. That is not news. However, there are two elements of research that are especially cool that I want to share with you. One, Brigham Young University and a key researcher there, Holt Landstold, has done tons of work on friendship. When you have 2 or 3 close friends, it is more important to your health outcomes than your habits around diet, drinking, or exercise, and on par with smoking. When you have 2 or 3 close friends, it is correlated with your overall longevity, your mental health, your incidence of cancer, of depression, of heart disease, and of dementia. It's incredible the impact that friends have on. This is the way that we can think about getting support from others. And here's some additional data that will be probably new, and that is that we feel more supported by our communities when the people in our communities know each other. So think about, I don't know, you're healing from a broken leg or somebody and somebody brings you, a soup supper or supports you in some way in your healing process. Or somebody else brings you help in terms of your healing. If they don't know each other, you will absolutely feel supported. If they do also know each other and know you, you will feel even more supported. That is the power of networks. That is the power of community. And that is the power of more dense networks and community. So it's really interesting how you think about building those networks and building those communities, whether you're healing from a broken leg or whether you're trying to accomplish anything else. Getting support really helps us to feel happy. What do we do about this? We invest time in relationships. It takes about 60 hours to make a good friend. That counts whether we're working together, where we're having coffee together, whether we're, chatting before yoga class. So the implication on this one is that it's a really good idea to invest in relationships. All right. The other way that we find that community drives fulfilling work life and drives well-being is because we get the opportunity to give support. It's not just about getting support, it's also about giving support. We all have an instinct to matter, and we value reciprocity. That is one of our fundamental expectations within a community. It's one of the fundamental things that makes communities sustainable and that makes communities last. That is, we can get support, and we also have the opportunity to give support. I love the concept of distributive and contributive justice. A lot of times we think about equity and equality and justice in terms of distributive elements. Who's getting the goodies? Are the goodies being distributed appropriately? By goodies, I mean resources, right? Like who gets what in a society, in a workplace, in an organization. We can also think about the importance of contributive justice. We want the opportunity to contribute. We want the opportunity to be viewed as an important and integral member of community. And so giving support is actually part of well-being. Giving support is actually part of a more fulfilling work and life. And the roles that we play contribute to our sense of purpose, which is fundamental to our well-being as well. We're a coworker, we're a colleague, we're a leader, we're a researcher, we're an analyst, we're a friend, we're a, parent, we're a colleague. All of those make a difference. So what we can do as an implication here is focus on giving. Thinking about community, not just in terms of what we get, but also in terms of what we can give. So here's another thought question for you. Which are the primary ways that you appreciate supporting others? Is it through listening and providing emotional support? Is it through problem solving? Is it through tasks or activities that you share together? Is it through all of the above or something completely different? It's kind of cool when you reinforce in yourself what it is that you love to give toward others. And we all give unique and wonderful things to each other. So lean into those as the implication here. The other way that we can think about community and how it contributes both to our well-being and a fulfilled work life is through performance and improvement. We learn about ourselves in community with others. This is really interesting. The less time we spend with other people, sometimes the less attuned we are to ourselves, how we're coming across, what's working, what's not working. Because a lot of what we get from others is kind of nonverbal cues. We say something in a group and somebody frowns and says, it kind of looks away, and we understand that maybe we weren't quite on target with that one, or we have more work to do in forming a compelling argument. Or people lean forward, or they smile, or they raise their eyebrows with curiosity. Those clues to us, whether they're nonverbal or verbal, give us feedback about how we're performing, about how we're doing. And that growth opportunity is very, very correlated with happiness and work-life fulfillment. We crave to grow. We crave to be creative. We crave to perform well. Thriving includes elements of both our personal best today. I had my best time ever running my sprint. And thriving always includes an element of striving. What do we do next? How can we do better? What is our next goal that we want to set? That interesting data about thriving comes from elite athletes and research on them, as well as child development. So, performance and improvement is part of why community works and contributes to well being and a great work life. The implication for us, in terms of the pragmatic action we can take, is to seek feedback and coaching. Ask people how we're doing, ask people how we're showing up, ask people how we're coming across so that we can continue to grow and develop ourselves. The greatest discovery is that humans can alter their lives by altering their attitudes. So let's talk about the last element that I will talk about anyway today, related to community and connection and why it contributes to well-being. And that has everything to do with altering our attitudes and managing our perspectives and our perceptions. Another reason that community and connection are so fundamental to our well being and to our work life fulfillment is because we get an important sense of perspective from others. There's some really interesting research on college and university. And when students go to college and university and kind of that next level of education, whatever you call it in your country, one of the things that is especially helpful for their success is when they make a lot of friends. That causes them to have better academic achievement. But a fundamental thing that's happening there is that they get a broader sense of perspective about the world. It's a threshold moment where they open their perspective because they get to know different people in different places. This is perspective from others about us that we talked about in terms of self-awareness a little earlier. It is also perspective about others. We understand what people are going through. We get to ask questions. We get to tune in. We get to be aware of what other people are going through. And here is some data that you may not have heard before, which I think is especially cool. The idea of homophily is our instinctual drive to connect with people who are like us. People who think like us and sound like us and look like us tend to be the people that we are most automatically attracted to. However, there's some wonderful data that when about 50% of our network is different from us, we will have the highest levels of well-being and happiness. This is a very big deal. What it says is that, of course, we want people who kind of speak our language literally and figuratively. And it is a wonderful thing when we build a network with people who are different from us, different points of view, different perspectives, different ways of being, different ways of knowing. So the implication for this one is that we want to tune in to other people, stay vigilant about their experiences, make sure that we're seeking difference in our networks and asking questions, and then really listening when people share their points of view. So perspective is a really big deal and part of the reason that community and connection give us a sense of well-being and work-life fulfillment. And to accomplish that, we can tune in to others and seek those differences. Let's talk a minute as well about AI. We've talked about 5 elements that really drive community and connection and well-being and work life. And AI is often the elephant in the room in terms of how we think about it shifting our work lives, and our relationships. I think it's a really good idea that we lean in and learn. We are absolutely seeing this tsunami come toward us in terms of technology. And if we've got our toes in the water and we're learning how to surf, that will be a very, very helpful thing when the waves come to the shore. So leaning in and learning is a really good idea. Another really important element as it relates to AI and community and relationships is that we stay real and we avoid trading off. AI psychosis is real. Parasocial relationships are when we connect with AI and potentially like get a relationship benefit out of that is inauthentic. We think we're developing a relationship and that shuts down our real life relationships, or it impedes our ability to develop social skills in real life. It impedes and causes opportunity cost in terms of the time that we're spending with others. So a really important element as we're leaning in, as we're learning, is to stay real with actual human beings and to make sure that we're continuing to invest time. Another really good idea is to think about AI and how we're using AI in terms of our efficiency and our effectiveness, but we're not using AI for our relationships or to replace relationships. The other important consideration is that we protect our passions. I love the concept of cognitive surrender. There's so much research today that the more we use AI, the less we may be thinking as deeply, processing as deeply, remembering as much, feeling as committed. There can be thinking deterioration. And what we can do as a result of that and in the face of that is to make sure that we're protecting the things that we love best. Think about what you love to do, what makes you you, and make sure you're absolutely protecting that. I love to write. It's part of, what I love to do. It's one of my passions. And so I'll never use AI to write. However, I'll use AI more for analytical work or financial work or the things that aren't quite as important to me personally. You'll have your own answer to that conundrum. But one of the things we know is that humans crave to create, to be curious, and to connect. And so when those are some of the things that we're protecting, it's a really good idea. So these are your tangible takeaways, and then I know Matt will join us again. One of the things we want to do is invest in community. I've made a case for you about why community is so fundamental to our well-being and to our fulfilling work life. And when we invest time in joining groups and being fully who we are, in investing time in relationships, in making sure that we're seeking perspective, those will be absolutely returning to us in terms of our well-being, but also returning to others. The other thing we can do is emphasize giving, not just getting, but giving. Not only getting support, but also giving support to others. And also staying hopeful. One of the things we know is that our brains kind of aren't wired for all the bad news and the triggering news and the overwhelming news and the nature of media and social media today. So one of the things that community does for us is it helps us stay hopeful. We stay connected with real people and we can stay optimistic. Interestingly, there's data that when we are more optimistic, this is from Boston University. It was a longitudinal study of 70,000 people over 30 years. When people were more optimistic, they lived longer and they lived more healthfully for the years they were alive. They were 50% more likely to reach the age of 85 in healthful years. And so optimism matters to us individually. We also tend to trust people and be attracted to people who tend to be more optimistic. This is not toxic positivity. This is not just Pollyanna, unrealistic. This is the opportunity to look at what's happening in the world, connect with others, build community, and find ways to be hopeful and proactive, even in the face of things that might be happening that aren't ideal. So invest in community, emphasize giving, and stay hopeful. Here are my coordinates again. We'll leave the slide up just a minute. The top is my LinkedIn newsletter, if you'd like to subscribe to that, and bottom is my new book, Critical Connections. But look me up. I would love to hear the answers to your questions that I asked as thought questions. I would love to hear your perspectives on connection and community, and would love to hear what you're thinking about well-being and work life. So with that, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. And Matt, I know you'll rejoin me.
Yeah, thank you so much. Always so thought-provoking, and then it's a race for me to try and pull those thoughts together into some sort of coherent question or statement. I've been thinking a lot about community and connection over the past few weeks and months with this summer series coming up, and probably a bit from left field, but I was thinking that the most connected I've ever felt, and I was trying to whether it had something to do with nostalgia, but I think it has nothing to do with nostalgia, was in that summer between college, high school in American parlance, and college, so school and university in England, where I had a huge network of acquaintances and friends. And obviously, as you get a bit older, that friendship group starts to get smaller and smaller and smaller. In college, the same, had a bigger friendship group, no mobile phones back then. And then the good organizations that I found myself in where that sense of community was there. Outside of that, it's very hard to have that same type of feeling where I suppose you belong and you have people that will listen to you. You can listen to them. And I just suddenly thought to me that was, I look back on those times with such fondness because of the connection and community that existed. Nothing, not because I was younger and carefree, but it was because of that or what was built. So I'm going to ask you a very hard question, and hopefully that made sense. How do we go about creating those spaces and environments within a workplace? I know you touched on it, but like a more of a direct question of creating that sense of community, giving the ability to have real conversations, active listening, all those different types of things that bring that together in a workplace. And I know it's probably a very long answer to a short time frame.
I love it. It's such a good question. And there's wonderful research. The number one place we make friends is in college and university. The number two place we make friends is at work. The number three place we make friends is high school. So school in the UK. So right on in terms of what you're saying. And then we tend to have pillars of friendship. So our friendships are longer, deeper, and more meaningful when we share more pillars in common. Those are sense of humor, dialect, and kind of where we come from, our ethics and values, our interests, our musical preferences, just really fun. The other thing that's interesting is a fundamental pillar of friendship is our core competencies. And a lot of times our profession is where we are expressing those core competencies. 75% of people make their friends at work, and we tend to turn over our networks on regular periods of time, but we also have friend archetypes. So people who kind of reappear in our lives over time, people that we tend to be attracted to and especially appreciative of them.
Yeah.
So how do we create those communities at work? I think we lean into this idea of core competence and profession as a fundamental pillar, like really get to know and lean in to the people that we're working with, number one. Number two, really stay connected with them in the task, because task and rolling up sleeves together is a fundamental way we connect. And to be really intentional about asking questions and learning more about them at a personal level, to the extent that we want to the extent that we're each comfortable with it. But the more we know people personally in our work setting, the more likely we are to follow through and follow up and deliver on our commitments. So getting to know each other both socially and through task are really good ideas, and investing that time, knowing that that profession is a really important pillar of relationship. I think sometimes we can overstate the importance of efficiency and task orientation. We want to get right down to business.
Yeah.
But when we invest just that little bit in getting to know each other, we actually drive outcomes really significantly for ourselves and for others.
Fantastic. I think, when I was listening to you as well, things have their moment in time where they're in vogue and then people like to move on, but it doesn't mean that it's any less important. And psychological safety really kept coming back to me whilst you were talking, in the sense that if we're able to create environments where I can show up as myself and be myself, therefore there's a much stronger possibility that I'm going to be able to connect with people at work, because they're finding out who I am, and therefore they're connecting with me on that basis, not somebody else. So safety seems to be really a key fundamental to creating these kind of connections and community at work, if you agree.
And that psychological safety is built when we feel like we can kind of show up and be fully ourselves. We can bring our eccentric sense of humor or our idea that's not fully baked. The thing I think is really important is that when we have a greater sense of psychological safety based on our relationships and our connections, we can actually take more risk. So psychological safety and comfort are not the same things. Psychological safety gives us the feeling that we can be uncomfortable, that we can take that appropriate risk, that constructive risk. We can be innovative. We can push the envelope. And when we have greater psychological safety, it allows us to think about different points of view, to test ideas, and to actually be, when we're comfortable with ourselves, also comfortable with people pushing back and debating us and having really beneficial and constructive dialogue. So it's a both and, right? In terms of psychological safety and the opportunity for constructive discomfort. So I love the point. Fantastic.
Well, as always, I wish we had more time, but thank you so much for leading us off on the Summer Series 2026. And I hope you have a fantastic summer too. So is there anything else you'd like to finish on?
No, thank you. Thank you. I super appreciate it. Look me up, anybody, if you'd like to, and really looking forward to this whole summer series. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Tracy. Take care.